Yeah, it was a ball game that had an awful lot of offense, obviously, in it. Was proud of our players getting down 14-0, 21-7, and still having the ability and the gumption to come back and make it work. Did a lot of good things. Still some areas that we've got to improve on. I thought both quarterbacks played well. Nathan completed 72% of his passes. Their quarterback completed 71%. It wasn't until the second half that we really started to get pressure on him, and I think that that really made a difference. So we're a team that's getting better week by week. If we can keep progressing like that, we can have ourselves a pretty good football team. But obviously, we can't stay where we're at. We've got to keep improving.
Coach, you had a chance to look back at film. Do you think that's the best game that Nathan Orchis played during the time?
He's played a lot of really good football for us. So, but it has to be certainly one of the best, if not the best. And so, I think he showed his ability in all areas. Composure, he threw the ball extremely well, threw it deep well, threw it intermediate well, short well. Obviously, he showed his running skill, which is really an excellent skill for him in terms of what he's able to accomplish when he's got the ball under his arm running. So, I think he was a very complete quarterback in that ball game.
Speaking of quarterbacks, you guys travel to Kent State on Saturday, and they have Woody Baird, the transfer from Auburn, and he looks to be one of the more better quarterbacks that Kent State has had in the past few seasons. What threats does he pose to the defense, especially the secondary, which has let up some big plays early on this season?
Yeah, he's allowed them to open up their offense, and they're a very fast-paced football team. You can see on film where the opponents struggle getting lined up sometimes because they're such a fast-paced team. So we'll need to get ready for that aspect of the game. When he can both run and pass, which seems to be the case with almost every quarterback we're facing anymore. They've got I think a football team that's a physical football team, plays hard. I think the new staff is giving them some energy and some direction. I see them as a team that keeps getting better also week by week.
What's the process like to trying to figure out who a team is, one of these league teams that you faced year after year after year, and then they bring in a new coach?
Yeah.
How do you navigate that process?
You not only go through the coach's background and what he's been all about at the previous schools, who he's been an assistant under, if that's the direction that he's taken as a head coach in terms of the style of defense, style of offense, you got to get the coordinators recognized and investigated as to their background, and then you just put that together and hope that you can put together a good game plan off of that holds up to some degree when you play them.
So looking at Coach Lewis's background, the BG, and you guys had those battles 4 or 5 years ago. How much does that help in prepping for what the Flashes are doing new this year?
It helps, because the speed of play is completely different than what has generally been there, and so that's a big thing that jumps right out at you. They've opened up the game to where they're not only just trying to run the ball with efficiency, but they're throwing the ball also well, and so they've really got basically a complete package where. There's been times in the past, and I thought the previous coaches did a good job of taking their personnel and building around that personnel. But in getting the transfer to come in, that allowed them to not build just around the personnel that's there, but it allowed them to utilize their package as to what they know best and what they're all about.
How do things change from a coaching staff when conference play begins? Do you dial in on certain things? Do you take the non-conference schedule, what worked, what didn't, try to whittle that down? How do things change from a staff perspective?
You do a little bit of that. You obviously, hopefully, did some good things in your non-conference play, and you don't just abandon those. So you keep that, and you build on that. You see what didn't go well, why it didn't go well, and one of two things: either you feel like it's worth the time and effort to continue to work that to get it to working right, or you ditch it. And so, I think the non-conference schedule has been very valuable to us in terms of that, identifying what we want to continue to be all about from the way things happen here the first four ball games. The identity shows now for us. People I think know what we're all about in terms of our identity, and usually that's the case with most teams after you've played 4 games and you're coming out of your non-conference play. I personally will take the statistics and I'll rip them all up, and actually I won't rip them. I'll put them through the shredder, and we'll not we'll not look at that anymore. We'll start looking at our statistics in MAC play, and MAC play only from here on out, and see where we're ranked, how we're doing, what we need to improve on, what's helping us win.
Coach, 14 points really quick for UMass. How important was it to get those points back as quickly as you guys did, just to be able to establish the run after you come back from that deficit? Yeah,
when you get down 14 points, it just takes one slip up to all of a sudden have you down 21. Whether it's a special teams play, a turnover at the wrong time, and you start to get 21 down, and that the momentum is there for the other team, and things get a little more different in terms of calling the game, in terms of trying to get yourself back into the game. Whether do you go for a fourth and short on the other side, just on the other side of the 50, or do you not? Do you punt and try to pin them down? And all those kind of things start to come into play when you get 20 or so points down. And so it was huge for us to get a score, to make it 14-7, and then when it got to be 21-7, you're in the same scenario there. You can't afford another mishap, and so I thankfully. We're a pretty explosive football team in terms of running the ball, and throwing the ball. We had 25 plays of 10 yards to 19 yards. Those are big plays for us. So 29 is, I think, maybe the most we've ever had in that one category.
And then looking beyond the first,
that's combining the big runs and big passes.
Looking beyond the first quarter, UMass gets 21 in the first quarter, and then after that, just 7 each quarter. What did you see from the defense, particularly in the second half, that really was an indicator that you guys were improving?
We started pressuring them more, and I think our guys played with energy throughout the game. I think their defense got beat down a little bit, and when it did get beat down, the runs started coming. There were little longer runs, the throws, the receivers, protecting the quarterback, becomes a little bit easier when a team is beat down a little bit, and so all that combines into having a chance to really get back in the game and then maybe extend your lead. We didn't have they didn't have a sack on us. So that was huge. The turnovers were 1-to-1. That was huge. We didn't win the turnover battle, which we want to do, but we didn't lose it, and that was huge in terms of getting back in the game and getting a little separation also.
And then through 4 weeks, there's been kind of a big lead or a big deficit in the first quarter, all 4 weeks. How do you kind of level that out?
Yeah, that's a little tiring for that to happen. if you always getting the big leads, that's great, but you got to play 4 quarters, and that's what we've been really emphasizing. And obviously, that's new to coaches, not new to coaches. You know, everybody talks to their team about playing 4 quarters, getting started fast, all those kind of things. Sometimes you have a football team that it's just not that way, but usually you can turn the corner there a little bit and make sure that you're battling in the first, second, third, and fourth quarter, and then that should keep you in ball games all the way through. And if that happens, then you give yourself your best chance to win.
I know you don't like to talk about games in the future, but with the start of MAC play also means that midweek action is not far off. It's in 3 weeks, and then 4 weeks you get to play 2 games in less than 7 days. Is now the time when you maybe start making sure players are getting that extra rest and stuff? I know you brought them into camp later, but it just seems like it's more the foreseeable future.
We've been doing that all the way through. You know, today's only going to be a 14-period practice, 14 5-minute periods. That's it. Tomorrow we'll still stay in pads. We've been in half pads, but we'll start to go in maybe no pads on Wednesday. We've cut down a lot of group work and individual work. We're doing more teamwork to make sure that our practices aren't long. We're trying to meet a little bit longer, where guys are sitting and resting. You know, our walkthrough on Thursday, I think, has been a help to us, and we have that Fast Friday where we're not out there very long at all. And so, generally speaking, they're getting, you know, 2 days, at least 2 days, Thursday, Friday, rest, and so it seems to been the right way to have our team be energized come game day. So far so good on that. But yeah, it is a challenge, you know, when you got more than one game within a week. You know, and obviously in the MAC you're traveling in the middle of the week, and you get home sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning if it's a night game, at 8 o'clock start or something, and so there's a lot of challenges you face. You know, we've prepped our team about all those challenges, so you don't want anything to just jump out and shock your team, you know. And so they know what we're doing and why we're doing it, and I think it's the best approach, but it still will be a big challenge to get it all accomplished.
I wasn't able to ask you after Saturday. You guys honored the 68 team. Looks like you had a nice reception Friday. Guys get to wear the special helmet Saturday. Can you talk about how the players, might sound silly, but how the players enjoyed wearing the helmets and how it was good for you guys as a staff to just welcome back in the 68 team?
Usually if something's new, the players like it,
yeah.
You know. And so that was new and different for us. So it was no problem. You know, Go Gold, that campaign, you know, was certainly something that was on our mind also, because we think that's a great cause. And so the players wanted to be part of that. And, you know, so a lot of things can go on before a ball game, but you want to make sure that with all the things going on, they don't forget about the game. And sometimes that, you know, that can be a problem. But we've got a pretty mature football team with excellent leaders, so I think that will help us a big deal as we go through our schedule with games in 4 days or 5 days or whatever they are, you know, and things that pop up on us.
Coach, Nathan Rourke before Saturday's game was hovering right around 50% completion through the first 3 games of the season. Shoots all the way up over 71%. And it seems like he kind of turned a corner just watching the game back. Confidence, rhythm, passing the ball. Did you see him take any big steps in practice last week, or is this just kind of of him getting back to his old self before the injury and being fully ready to go before MAC play?
We felt that he had a really good week of practice. Now, generally speaking, you know, he practices well. Mm-hmm. You know, he practices hard, you know, and everything's intense with him, and so he's given his best effort all the time. But he had a really good practice leading up to the game, and I think he's just getting in rhythm. It's, you know, he's becoming the quarterback again that he is and was, and you know, that every year that can take a little longer than what you might think. You know, nothing's automatic, You don't always play as well or as bad as you did last year. So it's good to see him in stride again.
And then Kent State obviously struggled so far this year, 1-4. They've opened up just last week. Mac played with a 52-24 loss at Ball State. Do you see this as a game maybe that Quentin Maxwell could see some time, some reps, if you guys are able to jump out to a big league or earlier, or put the game away before all said and done?
We'll see how it all goes, but we never count on a game
Getting a big lead,
not taking 4 quarters for us to be in it at the end or to win it, and so we do what we have to do. I do feel like Quentin is an excellent quarterback and would show really well if he was able to get his chances. We're hoping that he can get some chances, that we can just get him in here and there. But some games get so close, and the momentum shift can be so huge that if you got something going that's going well, you try to keep it going. But we'll see how it all plays out.
Coach, you guys ran for almost 10 yards a carry. Was there anything different during the practice week over the past week that allowed you guys to create those massive holes? Everyone ran for 30-plus yards for a long gain. Anything that you guys were doing differently that was working on Saturday?
Well, not so much doing things differently, but being on top of things and operating at the level that we're capable of operating at, and we talk about new coaches, coaching staffs, and new head coaches, and we have a new line coach, he's a bright guy. He's really good, and I think our players are really getting in tune to what he's all about in terms of his coaching techniques and so forth. And that's why we've been getting better and better each week, is because our offensive line has been getting better and better each week. And Tremaine, who's added as the 10th coach, is working with our inside defensive linemen. That all takes some adjustment. I think both those guys are excellent. They're great additions to our program, and I think it's starting to play out right now.
I'm sure you're well aware of this. Over the past 24 hours, it's blown up on national media. Mark Whipple was suspended for a game for using the word rape while talking about a penalty call. I know that on campus that's been kind of an issue. Can you just kind of address your thoughts on that, and if maybe you've addressed this with the team or anything like that?
Yeah, I address a lot of things with the team, obviously. And sometimes as coaches, not only in the heat of battle, but immediately after the battle, and at even other times, something comes out that you really didn't mean it to come out and mean the way it sounds. And so, I know Mark. I think he's a good person, good coach. AD certainly took charge of the situation, and I know that their AD called our AD and extended an apology, and so I think they have done all that they could do given the situation, and we're all moving forward.
Thanks, Coach.
Anything else?
Awkward transition. I was going to ask about Kent State's defense. New staff. They do talk about what they're doing new defensively. What are they doing differently on the defensive side?
Yeah, I think they're still trying to put their personnel together. In that you see players being used at different positions, and certainly you look at some guys who they have a safety that's now not playing in the secondary but playing up front, and so they're making that transition, and they're finding out who best fits their defensive scheme, and that's all coming together for them, and so I'm sure that the non-conference schedule for the most part, even though they did play Ball State, most of the games were non-conference games, and you just try to get it all together in that frame of time so that you're ready to go. You're ready to go when conference opens up, and I think he's done a good job of that. He's got a lot of energy, and his staff has a lot of energy, and that shows through his players. And so, I think they have maybe 5 interceptions on the year, so you can, you don't get 5 interceptions without getting some things done up front defensively, and having good people in the secondary and linebacker area. So, they're doing what they have to reach their potential.